Hello, Ani, Bojo, and welcome all to New Works. I'm Autumn, and Caribou is my clan. Autumn Nadijnakaz Minwa Adik Ndodem. And thanks for joining me as I highlight and explore Indigenous artistic and cultural expression. You are currently witnessing part 2 on my favorite Indigenous performance artist, Tanya Tagaq. In my last video, I talked all about my admiration for this celebrated throat-singing Inuk and why she's such an inspiration to me. But as I promised I would do before, I'm also going to talk about how Tanya Tagaq's music pushes the envelope of cultural tradition, i.e., what makes her music innovative and unique to her. But first, we have to have an idea of the tradition on which her art is based. Let's get cracking. Maj tada! Okay, so traditional Inuit throat singing, not to be confused with Tibetan, Mongolian, or Tuvan throat singing / overtone singing, is believed to be several thousand years old. Though it exhibits many attributes associated with music, such as texture, rhythm, and pitch, and it's being featured with increasing prominence in contemporary music by artists like Tanya Tagaq, Buffy Sainte-Marie, the Jerry Cans, and even in the theme song of this weird television show I used to watch as a kid called Wampa's World. It was never actually intended to be music. In fact, Inuit throat singing is what ethnomusicologists designate a throat game. Now, there are different names and variations depending on your geography, but Walrus Magazine says that the best known style is Tagaq, which originated in what is now northern Quebec and southern Baffin Island. In its original state, Tagaq is played by two women facing each other and standing very close together, sometimes even holding each other's arms or shoulders. One player will open the game with a repetitive motif called a hama, which the second player will echo until one of them takes charge with a new hama. The ultimate goal of the game is to see which player lasts the longest before she runs out of breath or or breaks into laughter. I'm laughing right now, just talking about it. If you want to check out some traditional Inuit throat singing after this video, I highly recommend you look into Sheena Novalinga and her mother, Caroline. They offer many beautiful and heartwarming videos that exemplify the Tagaq style. P.S. You might also recognize Sheena from a Sephora advertisement advertising National Indigenous History Month. So cool. Anyways, now that you have the general idea of what traditional Inuit throat singing is all about, let's circle it back to Tanya Tagaq. So, what Tanya Tagaq does is fascinating because it differs from tradition in several ways, and yet, in other ways, remains the same. Let's explore this with a good old Venn diagram, shall we? Starting with the differences. So, what is commonly taught through oral tradition and communion with an elder female family member, Tanya learned on her own through mimicking cassette recordings given to her by her mother. What is performed by two people is now performed by one. What is intended to be a game is now intended to be music. What is a cappella is now accompanied, and what is playful in Tagaq now takes on a more serious tone coming from Tagaq. On to the similarities. Both are improvised. Both employ vocalizations drawn from natural sounds, senseless syllables, and even the names of places, elders, and ancestors. And both have potential to outline a narrative. Now, this is very common in Tagaq's work, although I should note that from what I've read, narrative occurs with less frequency in Tagaq than in other styles of Inuit throat singing. Personally, I just have the utmost respect for Tanya Tagaq's fusion of past and present, ancient and contemporary. How she adapted Tagaq into a solo form came out of necessity and is a direct result of her life experiences as a biracial Indigenous person growing up in the residential school system. I mean, what do you do when you see your culture dying because the government has banned your traditional practices? You educate yourself. What do you do when you're far from home and there's no one to sing with? You sing with yourself. What do you do when you feel like you don't belong? Well, you experiment until you do. How do you reconnect with your land, your family, your culture? You do the things that remind you of them. And how do you relieve the anger you must feel within you for all the abuse you've experienced and for being barred from all the aspects of your life that should make you, you? Each of us releases that in our own way. But for Tanya Tagaq, that's through music. And with that, I say chi miigwech. Thank you so, so much for watching. It means a lot to me that I've been gifted the opportunity to make these videos, and I hope you're enjoying them. If you are, please share this and leave me, Autumn Dubosky, a heart and a comment below. See you later, everyone. Bamapi.